Hello, everyone. Today we have a guest, Alister Christie. I think you know this guy because if you are a Delphi developer, for sure you saw his short and very useful videos about Delphi development. Hi, Alister.
Hello.
Just a couple of words about our today's, let's say, event. In this video, we are talking to Alister, as I already said, Delphi developer and Embarcadero MVP. Let's say that today it will be like MVP to MVP talk. Of course, Alister is the Embarcadero MVP, tutor and speaker on different events about Delphi. And of course, he has his famous YouTube channel. I think it's like one of the leading places where developers can watch and get different useful information for them. And of course, learn Delphi programming and development. In this video, we are not going to discuss deep tech stuff because we don't have a time, and that's not the goal of this video. In this video, we will discuss our and Alister's professional way and where he's getting this passion, how he's creating his videos, how is it, because I think it's very interesting even for our audience. Is it okay for you, Alister?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
that's fine.
So in this case, my first question to you, before we start with our plan, how do you think, where is the Delphi today? What do you think, what's the future, what's the current status, and do you have any thoughts about that?
I think things looking pretty good for Delphi at the moment. I was a bit worried initially when Idera first acquired Embarcadero. They seem to make some pretty fast decisions on what stuff they wanted to keep and that kind of stuff and what have you. But I think they've kind of realized that actually Delphi is pretty good, and putting investment into R&D and all that kind of stuff into it now, which is all very positive. So I think yeah, in terms of the health of Delphi, it's pretty good. I think there's a few people have problems.
You felt this moment when either required Embarcadero, yes, because yes, it was a long way from the Borland to Inspire. So what's next?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. So yeah, sort of. Delphi was languishing a bit with Borland. They weren't providing enough resources for for R&D to go ahead, and we had releases like Delphi 8, and which was poorly bad, and no one used. Delphi 2005 was better, but it still was pretty bad. Yeah, and then of course it was spun out into CodeGear.
What do you think? Delphi is still for desktop, or because they try to go to web, of course, to the back office, but again, like a web solutions, and of course to mobile and cross-platform development.
Yeah, I don't think Delphi is a very good choice for doing web development directly. Certainly doing, if you want to do REST services and things like that, that does that pretty well. Of course, mobile does very well now, and having the write once and it run on Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, and Android is a huge advantage over most platforms, which is you end up writing different applications. There's this, you're not going to share too much between them, and you get weird situations. I've heard of the sort of Android teams and iOS teams, and they end up competing with each other and not really cooperating on the same project effectively. But with Delphi, it's all one project, and you can share pretty much all the code. I mean, it has the downside is that it's not the let's say it's the Embarcadero marketing. So say it's native, but technically it's native CPU wise, not sort of development-wise. So it's not, in some ways, it's not a first-class citizen of any, FireMonkey is not a first-class citizen of any platform, but I think it works well enough that for its few shortcomings, the advantage of the cross-platform is just enormous. And single developer can write achieve what a team of 5 people or 10 people do
in different areas, yes, in different development technology areas,
So if you're doing something, and if you're doing sort of the standard, you have your whatever you're doing for iOS and Android Studio or whatever, and then Visual Studio if you're doing a Windows version, all these skills. Either you have to be a pretty brilliant person to be able to master all these IDEs, or you have multiple people working on, you have a team of people working on each of these projects rather than just a single project. So I think in that respect, Delphi's pretty good. I've done a little bit of FireMonkey development, a bit of Android stuff, but certainly probably not enough to give a really strong opinion on how easy it is to do the cross-platform development. But certainly being able to develop on Windows and then run it on Android, the building for Android is a painful process, and you end up it might take a couple of minutes to build and deploy a project where it takes 2 seconds to compile 50,000 lines of code, and for as a Win32 app. And so I think that development cycle is you just
it's shorter,
write and build.
Shorter, of course.
It makes a big difference in productivity, the ability to test things so quickly. And I've got in the background.
By the way, do you have a commercial experience with cross-platform development in Delphi?
Yeah, I've done some Android work with Delphi, the small real estate application, which
only Android or iOS also? Maybe?
No, I didn't do the iOS version. We only did the Android one. And I've done some other bits and pieces. Like I did a little application that you could send REST calls to a Android device, and it would send text messages or make phone calls, so that you could do use your phone and do mass mailing of text messages and things like that through a phone. And that kind of had the advantage that when someone responded, you get a history there as well. So it's all on the phone. And that was a sort of real estate type application. You use that sort of to remind people of the auction or team closing or and things like that.
That's great. I'm very glad that we started from such a positive, let's say, words. But I said I propose to go back to basics, because I think for our audience will be interesting. Because like when Delphi developers start discuss something, they started. When did you start using Delphi? How, why did you start to use it at all? What is your story?
So I have a degree in mathematics and computer science from a university here in New Zealand.
When it was?
I live in New Zealand.
When it
Sorry?
was? When it happened?
So 90.
Are you checking your diplomas on the
Yeah,
wall?
1998. I graduated in 1998
Nice,
with in mathematics and computer science.
But it was, I think, Delphi 3 or 5, like one of them.
Delphi 3. Delphi 3 was the first version of Delphi I used. But prior to that, I used Turbo Pascal 5.5 on an 8 megahertz 286.
It's like
going back, might have been a 16 megahertz machine at that stage. I can't remember. It's quite a long time ago. And university would did Think Pascal on these horrible Mac Classics and Mac Minis that were in first year. So that was interesting.
What was the first application? It was like a calculator or text editor? What's
Various things like little games and things like that.
Games, it's a complicated things like to
yeah.
start.
So I wrote some code to generate fractals and built a game with some friends. And various just random things. Nothing very sophisticated.
Because
really, I wasn't overly skilled at that stage.
I started from drawing the clock, like calculate all the position of the arrows, numbers, and so on. But of course, calculator and text editor for sure. Like, but I remember Delphi had like a demo project text editors. I remember, and we just got it somehow, improved it, because again, it was also in my university.
Yes, my first learning of programming, really. I mean, I'd done some kind of basic and copied the machine code out of the back of PC Magazine to do little applications and stuff like that for DOS. But yeah, but really, I didn't really learn to program properly until university.
But in the university, you made a decision to be a software developer, or it was like 50-50. Maybe you planned to go to another domain and another, I don't know, specialization.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, I did a lot of mathematics. So there was the possibility of me becoming a mathematician, but I think I was too lazy for that.
But mathematics in which area? Is the statistical something like?
No, probably just discrete mathematics. I started doing sort of postgraduate studies, sort of honors degree, and I did some papers in number theory and sort of graphing theory and some other sort of little discrete math type things, which is really good. Really quite enjoyed that, but I've never used any of that mathematics.
Of course, I only know mathematicians who can use their knowledge only right now in domain of different artificial intelligence tasks. In this case, anyway, when they're developing all these frameworks, because I'm like a developer who can just take existing framework and I don't know what's under the hood, how it works at all. But how to build this library of framework, it's like should be only mathematical task. It's impossible to develop such task without this education from university. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
if else constructions.
Some of those sort of AI type things you do need quite advanced sort of mathematical frameworks and knowledge and stuff, and neural networks and stuff that's well beyond me. I did a video recently, my last video on DeepStack, which is a platform that you can just download it, and it's a image recognition, so it does facial recognition, all sorts of other things. I use it in conjunction with security cameras I've got around the house to recognize the fact that there's a person or a car or something in the thing. But like when I was my first applications were little text applications, guess a number between 1 and 10 kind of thing, and these days people are their first sort of test applications are sort of this image recognition stuff and stuff, all these huge libraries that they can take advantage of, that that they just can upload an image to some web service and get back what's in it, scene recognition, it's a beach, or it's a picture of a house or whatever, this.
But by the way, do you believe in singularity when we will have a situation when we forgot the basics, like because we will know how to use all these cloud services, but how build the services we here, like
it's kind of
forget
what what happens if civilization gets reset? Is kind of the analogy there. You know, if you went back 200 years, would you be able to survive? And in my case, probably not. I mean, I've got more knowledge about farming and stuff like that than most people, but because I live on a lifestyle block, which is a small farm, and just the these days it's hard to cope without having a cell phone on you all the time to be able to look up basic facts and figures and how to get somewhere, Google navigation and things like that. So it's I think and if like with sufficient training I could go back and write machine code or write stuff in binary and understand build basic programs, but I don't think I do it very well.
And do you remember how did you jump from the university to your first working place? It's like, was your teacher suggested you some position? How it happened?
No, well, it was so basically holiday work. I was working on
in some corporation or a small
jobs.
company.
Yeah, it's kind of it was just kind of I was needed for just helping out with stuff at this place, and they had to develop real estate software, and eventually started working on the project.
Which kind of project was it like? Because
so it was written in Delphi.
1998. It's
1998, I think, 1999. So no, it would have been 98, possibly 97. Going back, so it was Delphi 3. So I think Delphi 3 was fairly reasonably new at that stage. So whenever that was, and this real estate application, I'm still working on it from time to time. It's now in Delphi 11.
Again, it's like a classical office application, desktop office application, where some clerks can perform some operations through real estate, objects like apartments, reports, and so on.
Yeah, doing sort of contact, customer relationship management, and but doing all the sort of back office stuff, accounting, and making sure people get, the salespeople get paid the appropriate amounts and that kind of thing.
But do you remember it was such a revolution with Delphi, because do you remember this Visual Studio 6.0 or 6.1 when it was so complicated to create some UI, some application with rich UI? This is why Delphi was like
that's before my time. I did remember buying a book on Win32 programming, and you had to get quite just to get a window on the screen, you had to write like several pages of code to write hello world. So that was whereas Delphi, it's basically one line of code you need to write.
Yeah,
just drag and drop. So the Delphi was I mean, I wasn't really part of that revolution. I was at the university at that time. Delphi came out, I think, and I had a friend who worked with it, and he was doing stuff for something like roading, and I remember that for him tables weren't fast enough. He had to write his own B tree or B star tree implementation. But that would have been on like 486s back in the day, and the power of computers has gotten quite a lot better since then.
Again, you started started this commercial developer, but did you drop this year, because if you're a PhD, you have some scientific life, I guess. Did you drop this, or you can in parallel you continue?
No, I pretty much gave up on the academic side of things. But
you see, you have this trait, I think, because you started this because you can see that you have this mission your personal mission, like educational part, like because you see like because maybe you felt because I have something like I feel like I have to share somehow my knowledge with everybody, and that's your started commercial development, but you also had in the head some ideas about this, I don't know, educational part. Or what was the goal?
Yeah, so
you wanted to be a famous or what's
so it's kind of how that came about is I think we got a very old version of Camtasia. I think maybe in version 2 or something like that for doing training videos for the software as well, real estate software. And I used that to make some Delphi training videos back in probably 2006. It was with Delphi 2006, so it was probably back then. So it's just kind of going back just before this meeting through some of my early posts, and the first ones are in 2007, but I think they might have actually. So YouTube didn't really exist when I started making videos.
And where did you publish them?
Google Video.
Google.
So which is now gone. That's been wrapped into
because
YouTube.
As I remember, Google acquired YouTube.
Yes, yes, they did.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, you started your channel in 2007 using Delphi 2006. Or
yes,
I don't remember the version.
I re-uploaded quite a lot of videos.
And you was like a pioneer, I guess. Or did you have any competitors in 2007?
I don't think there was anyone else doing Delphi videos at that stage.
Because it's right now it's easy to have, like we have a phone and you can write everything you want. Because a lot of applications right in your desktop, but it's not in 2007, of course.
Yeah, and you're uploading these videos, and YouTube at that time only supported by 320 by 240 resolution, and 5 minutes was the maximum length you were allowed.
5 minutes, yeah.
So there's a couple of early videos, or an early video that I had to split into 2 because of that. And yeah, so it's quite. Yeah, there's some comments, on some of these early videos.
I think you like
the quality of the video, and it's like, well, that was the best that could be done when they were made. I think the YouTube, the Google video supported high resolution, but yeah, I'm not sure. And I think I hosted videos myself on the. Well, it was at the time CodeGearGuru.com, which now is LearnDelphi.tv. And those first videos originally they were with played with a Flash player, which is now those probably wouldn't work at all in any modern browsers. I don't think Flash is particularly supported
because of security things. Yeah, that's very interesting. But and as I understand, you started posting this content, and by the way, in 2007, who owned Delphi? It was not. It was Inspire.
Borland. I think. Yes, no, it was Borland at the time because they'd spun out into CodeGear. They'd made
CodeGear,
Delphi into a sort of separate entity that operated and owned by Borland, but operated semi-independently because they were wanting to sell it. And that was for a few years before Embarcadero acquired it next. And it's
Alister, did they have an MVP program in 2007?
No. So
when did you in which year you became Embarcadero MVP?
I'm not sure. Maybe less. find the MVP is one of the first so when they were originally the MVP program started. So I was originally the only one in New Zealand, but now I think there's a few, well, possibly the only one in Australasia. But now there's quite a few sort of in New Zealand and Australia now. So it's gotten a bit bigger and it's more organized now. Jim McKeith's doing really fantastic job of running the MVP program.
Yeah.
And he's now got a bit of help as well.
And
So
you mean that Jim McKeith started and introduced this program? Am I correct?
he might have. You'd probably have to ask him.
Yeah, I can. But
Yeah.
We had some internet connection problem. I don't know, maybe on my side. I didn't get your answer. In which year you became Embarcadero MVP? You remember?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh.
It was when it started.
When it started, I see. Right. And
that was one of the first.
Who initiated like you like involvement? You sent some request, or Jim suggested you?
I think it was Jim. I think it was Jim McKeith.
That's great. So, you're like again, like you was like you're like a founder, let's say, of this MVP program.
Indeed.
Yeah, great. It's very interesting. And for me, because I'm also creating some content, for me is interesting. Where are you getting your ideas for your videos nowadays? Because you know that
sometimes it's just I'll stumble across something that's interesting. So might make a video on it. Other times, there's sometimes YouTube comments. Oops.
Just a sec.
My video stopped.
No,
okay.
That's okay.
That's better. Okay. So yeah, sometimes YouTube comments are a source of video content, or maybe someone else's blog post that gives me an idea for something.
Do you have any personal messages from people? For example, you posted some video, then they're trying to reach you somehow. I don't know, write their feedback.
Yeah, I get a fair number of comments, YouTube comments, and occasionally I'll get messaged. Quite often, LinkedIn is often the best way to get in touch with me. I'm Alister Christie on that.
Are you answering on the question? Because, for example, sometimes we are posting something about Delphi and FireMonkey, and we have a lot of haters who write that the Delphi is stop. That's you're providing like wrong ideas. It's dead. Stop. It's you're a liar. Like, I'm just ignoring such kind of comments. But what about you?
I don't tend to get much negative. I mean, often I get comments that I talk too fast, which I definitely do, and I can't help it. It's just my normal talking speed. I try to slow down a little bit for recording videos, but it can be. So you sort of need to concentrate on so many different things when recording that that one gets lost and I end up just talking fast. But ideas. I like the deep stack one video. That was just I saw that Blue Iris, which is the security software I used, was using it as for doing object detection for providing alerts, and I thought that obviously has an API. I wonder if you can access it in Delphi, and of course, it has a REST service, so it was pretty trivial to work it out.
About this, your format, like short videos, you think it's like the best way, or like for getting information, or it's for you more convenient just because, for example, for me, it's not easy to find, like, prepare like huge video where to deeply explain some, I don't know, subject. What about you? Because for you, it's easy, or you think it's useful for the people because they want silly long videos because. Like,
yeah, most of my videos are short. I mean, I got to do like the Delphi Con, Code Rage, and like kind of stuff, and that they're generally about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, maybe half an hour, and usually to produce an hour video usually requires about 8 hours of work to get that sort of sorted. So just imagine if you I mean, I tend to watch. If you go through and edit it, so you're watching that in real time, and then I might do that go through it a couple of times editing, and then also watch the finished product. But I'll usually watch that double speed just to make sure there's nothing majorly wrong with it. So so producing long videos is quite hard work. I've got some commercial content on which you can access on from learndelphi.tv. I think about 36 hours or something of video on sort of there's quite a lot on the VCL and client data sets and some other generics, and I've got one on zip compression in Delphi, which I've never got around to finishing, but I added a bit to it recently. And of course, Delphi 11, we've now got 64-bit support for zip, so you can do files bigger than 4 gigabytes, which is nice. I still don't have support for encryption, which should be good, but I think that would be my the last thing I really need for zip support in Delphi. But so in terms of long content, if people want to, they can go to Embarcadero Academy and get my mega pack, which is all my commercial videos, which is I think it's probably about 36 hours of content, which is a complete work week of watching effectively. So it's a lot of
for you. How does let's say how long does it take for you from ideation to publication? How much time, for example, like for whole process for one video, like 1 day, 1 week, or?
So so in terms of this uploading to YouTube, I can sometimes just record a video first time, and then a little bit of editing and upload it. So the whole process might only take 2 hours.
Just you have
to get a 5-minute video
inside motivation just to quickly because you have everything, like again, like everything is ready. You have the, I don't know, what do you need, like a computer?
So
like
everything's
camera,
mostly set up, webcam, and I've got some a bright light up on the side and another light up here which is off at the moment, and so just turn these on and start recording.
By the way, are you working from home, like correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why you don't need, like, any silence.
So I use a product called RTX Voice because it's free. Actually, if you've got a NVIDIA GTX card, it will filter out anything that's not voice. So any other, the dogs barking and or even noises in the distance of chainsaws and that kind of stuff gets filtered out pretty effectively, and keyboard typing and all that kind of thing. Even you probably clapping, you probably can't hear that at all. So that kind of gives me some a bit more of a studio sound feel without actually having to be in a studio. And we have I look in lifestyle blocks, there's a rooster, and he could be crowing, and the dog barking, and cows mooing, and that kind of thing. So it's the country's not a quiet place.
Outside.
But they're actually, the cows are on holiday at the moment. We ran out of grass, so we they're living on another farm for now.
But you know that it's like a dream of any developer, like work in home and just go outside and you're on the nature, mountains, fields, cows. Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool, but it does take up a lot of time as well. So there's if you're wanting to spend lots of time programming, there's this, if you've got cows, they need attention, they need feeding and
but I
around and
think
stuff.
you're not
So,
only the one guy who are managing all these cows, I guess.
so I mean, there's pluses and minuses. I certainly there's a lot of responsibility living in the country.
Yeah, but you know, this is like a stereotype about New Zealand, like a huge green field, like mountains far away, and rabbits, of course, rabbits. Like, do you have rabbits on the field?
We've got a problem with rabbits at the moment. We've got an air rifle, but it's not the range on it's not sufficient, and I need to get my firearms license so I can get a proper 22 to deal with the rabbits and get the population down a little bit. Have some rabbit stew. So yeah.
Yeah, great. If you're talking about the videos, do you have some, I don't know, or so like a plan for the future videos? Like you're like putting some ideas to some list, and you have like a winners.
I do have a list. And I, whenever I get a thought, I'll add a video to it. So currently I am just finishing off my next book. So that's, whenever I'm working.
Later we will discuss this. Yeah.
So we'll discuss that later. So the videos have taken a bit of a backseat. I'm still producing the one or two occasionally.
But what I want to do, like some for the next year, like 2022 or something, like you feel some trend and you know that you will have videos about this trend. I don't know, about AI, like it was like blockchain before, you remember, like you have such a plan.
I have no plans in that regard for the YouTube content anyway. I do need to convert my first book into videos, and
it's like chapter by chapter, like
I'll do a I mean, I'll probably be a lot less formal about the content and go a little bit more on tangents and things like that, because I think that's far easier to do on video. And I won't necessarily be strictly going by the book, so to speak. I'll try to include everything in the book and a whole lot more, and just a bit more demonstration, because I mean,
I lost you. I don't know why. Can you hear me?
Code. So it's the one line of text in the book might be a couple of minutes of a video. So and it might there might be large sections of the book that I might skip over, condense down into shorter content. But I don't know how. Yeah. And
Alister, if talking honestly, is it a commercial story, or is like?
But I think. Sorry, it'll be a commercial video, so I'll be one for sale. The code faster in Delphi.
But okay, if you compare like
and my website.
I don't know, we have some connection issues. It's like, I guess, like our competitors from another technological domains.
You there?
Okay,
okay.
I'm here again. Yeah,
You're back again.
it's
Okay.
like our competitors from another technological domains, like frameworks, like in development tools. Maybe I skipped. Alister, is it like, if it's not a secret, because I know it's not. We are not talking about the money, but if we're talking about, like, you have a development and you have like this educational part right now, what is your, like, let's say, more important, and where did you get your, I don't know, like, your business? Where is your business? Education or development? Like,
so well, rent out rent out each, sort of, and also some investment properties. So that's kind of the most of my income comes from that aspect. So at the moment, I'm not really working as a programmer, but I'm still tinkering, and of course, my book's finished. Second book finished, and maybe so so that's what I'm going to be focused on this year is getting my next book published. I'll probably make a bunch more videos, and then get the video content for Delphi complete out for about a year now. So that's going to be the
but yes, you have a farm. It's like right now, I guess development is plan B, but because the farm is plan A, like, for you. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean the farm's not profitable. It's just a hobby farm.
It's not profitable.
Not at all. It's a big hole to plow money into. But yeah, but it does allow us to do the some things we grow our own meat and some vegetables and fruit. So it's of course middle of summer here in New Zealand at the moment. So I've made sort of the first batch of plum wine from plums from our driveway with trees down there, and there'll be some other plums ripening up shortly. So I'll be doing that, and I've got lots of fruit, even raspberries and blackcurrants and that kind of thing, straight off the trees.
Okay, because you mentioned a couple of times about the books. Let's say I think that we have to expand this subject. Of course, your first book, like Code Faster in Delphi, correct?
Yes.
And how it was? So, how popular it was? Like, how many copies did you sell?
Sold, I think. Sold about 500, I think.
Is it the paper versions, or it's like
so it's available electronic and paper. So I've sold about 300 ebooks through LeanPub, and about sort of around 200 through Amazon. So there's the, I don't know if I'll have to hold it up in front of me so that is the if I hold it to the side, it's going to vanish. Code Faster in Delphi. So and that it took I was writing it part-time, so I'm not quite sure how much effort it went into it. I think I've earned more than minimum wage in terms of the book sales, and I think it's done reasonably well as far as a Delphi book is concerned. And I'm still selling copies.
But
most of them,
Delphi. What is the target IDE version in this book?
So it was mostly developed with, I think, so 10.3 and 10.4. So I think most of it I updated so that it was 10.4, and of course we had Delphi 11 since, and so it does have sort of most of the up-to-date stuff in it. Of course, there's a bunch of exciting new things in Delphi 11 with that I can't remember off the top of my head. Managed records and whatnot that are quite cool. But yeah, so yeah, talk about. It's all focused on being faster, being a faster programmer. So there's a lot of discussion about how to use the IDE in a more efficient manner, taking advantage of keyboard shortcuts and even touch typing. You know, if you're doing the hunt and peck, you know, you're not a developer, you're a chicken. So you really need to be using you know, all your fingers and looking at the screen, not the keyboard when you're typing. So you're very limited as to how fast you can type. And I'm not a particularly fast touch typist. You know, I'm sort of around the 70 words a minute, which is, you know, it's respectable. I mean, I think the average is about 35 or something like that for the average typist. You know, people who can do 100 or 150 even. And I think the world record is around the 220 words a minute mark.
Okay, so if compare a new book with previous one, what's the main difference? I think it's not just like more information, like based on the previous one, or maybe it's like other subjects, or what's the difference? Can you a little bit like provide such information?
The new book?
Yeah, about new book.
The new book. So the new book is Code Better in Delphi. And so yeah, so code faster is all about productivity. So what tools you can use, you know, plugins to the IDE, and you know, libraries you should be using. You know, you should take advantage of generics and anonymous methods and anonymous threads and all that kind of stuff. Code Better in Delphi is all about writing better code. So so you want writing code that is cleaner, more easily maintained. So if you look at the life cycle
it will be a little
code,
bit about OOP, or because, you know, clean code is all about the OOP.
Object-oriented, a little bit about that. I mean, certainly I cover like solid principles and that kind of thing, but it's not an introduction to object-oriented programming. I've have to start from somewhere. That's probably a bit too basic, but do cover sort of stuff on interfaces and that kind of thing, and so dependency inversion and that kind of thing. So yeah, so which is, you know, these things are, if you're wanting to write really large applications, you really need code that is very highly decoupled. Otherwise, you make a change, you know, do a bug, and you create 3 more in unrelated areas because the code's a mess and there's not proper separation. So yeah, if you want to write code that's scalable, so if you want to write, you know, working on a project that's millions of lines of code, you can't do that just with writing code in forms. That's just a recipe for disaster.
How to share,
you need to separate,
for example, how to share development between the team, like one part, some developer is responsible for one part, another one for, that's a problem. Like
you need to be able to divide up your application so you can have more different people responsible for different areas of the application. Like if you've got, you know, 10 people working on the project, you know, you basically require version control at that point. And even if you're one person, you should be using version control. And you know, sort of various you know, bug management, you know, and all these, you know, kind of things. I talk a little bit about agile and you know, all that sort of social stuff as well. That you know, and yeah, so I've written about 180 pages, I think, so far. 160 pages, 180 pages, around that. I haven't got page numbers or anything like that. Headers and footers and all that kind of stuff in there yet, so I don't know how that will how big it actually is. It is bigger. There's more words than Code Faster in Delphi already, and I haven't finished yet. So it's going to be a bigger book. It's a harder book to write because there's more.
But you already have a publisher who is responsible for the publishing.
I'll probably self-publish again. Is my. I mean, I've got a big enough audience to be able to market to, and you know, if I'm doing DelphiCon and stuff like that. I did my last the DelphiCon presentation was on the book. So that's and I think if you were at DelphiCon and went to a certain number of presentations, you should actually get a free copy of it. Embarcadero, some sort of they've done a book deal with a number of authors to provide books, which is really good. Certainly, yeah, it's to be able to. I think, books are a kind of, and a physical book, it's a dead tree. It's kind of an antiquated format, but it's still in many ways the best way of getting the sort of high quality information. It's sort of, it's better than a series of blog posts or something. The quality is better, generally speaking. And yeah, it's just kind of well written, and it's been edited and by I think 8 people did editing on my book, 8 or 9 people on the first book. So it's a fairly easy read, and it's also I've been trying to write short books. If you look at the old sort of Marco Cantu books, the 800 pages or something like that, the huge tomes, and because basically back in the day, big books sold, but now I think the trend is for shorter books on really targeted topics. So there's now books on design patterns and memory management and all sorts of writing high performance applications and stuff that are available. So you don't get this huge book which is kind of covers everything and only a little bit of detail. You get these highly targeted books on very specific topics. So you get to learn, something in great detail rather than having to sort of work it out all for yourself, which is really good. I think it's a really positive thing that's happened over the last sort of for about, I think probably starting with Nick Hodges' books, Coding in Delphi, and then more Coding in Delphi, and then his dependency injection book. So, and Dalia has written books, and Primož Gabrielic has written a couple of books, and there's now just like some FireMonkey and all sorts of topics. So.
Or anyway, you are my hero, because you have to be such a self-motivated guy for writing a book, because I have a similar dream, but I have such a lot of professional like routines, like daily routines. Of course, I will spend my time to family, to relatives. I don't know how you can do that, especially. But you have you even have a cows and dogs. I don't have a cows, and I can't use it. Yeah,
I have the advantage. I don't have a regular job now, so I've got a lot of time for tinkering with projects. In theory, I've got a lot of time. That doesn't seem to materialize. I seem to be spending a lot of time doing chores and I've now got a 2-year-old son, which he's spent quite a lot of time with him.
But
which is good.
If you're talking like code beta in Delphi, you mentioned about the better, cleaner code. But do you have an experience like in migration, like Delphi legacy project to up-to-date Delphi? Because it's a little bit, like migration and better code and refactoring is similar. They're similar things. Like maybe that was like your insight of the idea of the book.
Yeah, certainly. A better code is generally easier to migrate because it's generally more consistent and what have you. So. If you're doing, if you're trying to convert to Unicode, but you're using strings as byte arrays, then it's good. That's not a pretty bad practice to begin with. But you have to now port a whole heap of code to use T bytes or something like that, rather than or T array of bytes, something similar rather than strings. So migrating code, I've yeah, had worked on lots of projects for upgrading to new versions of Delphi, and from the BDE to using FireDAC, and I'm just doing at the moment this sort of the real estate project I've been working on for the last 2 decades, a bit more than. It's in Delphi 11, but the database is still talking to the database as string fields. So I'm just in the process of, I've been written some scripts and things like that to convert that to use wide string fields and wide member fields and that kind of thing. So that's working. But the interesting thing about that application, because it was FireDAC and I wasn't sure what database to support, I basically supported them all. So in its current state, it ran Postgres or MariaDB or SQL Server, SQLite, Firebird interbase. It runs quite happily talking to any of those databases.
But even if we have all these things and all these difficulties with the strings, for example, imagine, is it possible to develop this real estate program from scratch using another technology? How many years it will be necessary?
If I wanted to rewrite, I don't know. It would take years. It would be many years.
You see, that's the main benefits of Delphi, is that we can still. You started in 1998, and it's still the same application.
It was an active project when I got on board. So originally it was written in Dataflex, and then it was ported to Delphi because Dataflex was a bit of a dead end. I don't know if anyone remembers. So it was kind of a databasing language.
But anyway, it's the same. If we're talking about Delphi, it's the same forms. Not like in Visual Studio, we started with Win forms, and then we cannot switch to WPF because two different animals. But in Delphi we can migrate up to date and keep up to date version.
Yeah, no, nightmarish if you're doing sort of Microsoft technology, even Java or Android. They have really large changes that require you to rewrite your application. So, but you can take your Delphi 1 project and it will quite possibly compile quite happily in Delphi 11. It's because all the backward compatibility that's been maintained. It's quite crazy. I mean, you might need to install the BDE or something like that, but to get it working. But there's so the Delphi project I've worked on was originally written in I think it was written in Delphi 1, might have been Delphi 2. And I took over it in Delphi 3, and I've kept it. It's skipped a few versions here and there, but yeah, it runs in Delphi 11. It's probably a couple 100,000 lines of code. It's not huge, but it's significant.
If you are not calculating the lines of the all components, but it's just your.
Oh yeah, it's millions of lines of code if you count TChat and quick reports and DevExpress and I wouldn't want to write those from scratch. It was certainly Delphi allows small teams to be highly productive. And the fact that you don't have to throw out your code every 5 years means that you can basically stay ahead of, you look at these really large projects and, they have hundreds of developers working on them and you think, did you really need that many people? Yeah. So.
But anyways, that's why we love Delphi.
Yeah, it's just I think it's much easier to read than the the sort of curly braced languages like C, C++, Java, C#, JavaScript. I think it's much. So I think it's easier to spot mistakes and debug and than C#, but I've not had a huge amount of experience writing, certainly not recently. I haven't really done much in other languages. I mean, I've I wrote an Android application in Java.
Using Android
And
Studio?
no, it was Eclipse. So this is going back quite a while. And it was just, I just found programming Java painful because it was so verbose. You had to write, even though it had garbage collection, so you didn't have to, there wasn't any, you didn't have to manually free anything. You just end up creating so many classes to, if you create a class and you need to you have to create classes to pass into the constructor, and and just all these, everything's an object. And whereas in Delphi, you can have just standalone functions and things like that that can be just quite economic and easy. So yeah, so I found actually Java, let's say a third of your code is meant to be in your maintaining, your memory management. And so in theory, that would all be gone in Java. But I found I was writing more code in Java than I would the equivalent in Delphi. I certainly have not done C# for probably about 15 years, but I did a little bit of C# for the .NET Compact Framework for Windows mobile phones way back when.
Everything is data again about Windows
That's
mobile phones.
All gone. But I quite like .NET.
Interesting, but interesting, the Delphi is more stable if you are talking about, if you compare with Microsoft technologies, because we have Delphi is 30 years, but Microsoft, everything is that, like new revolutionary technology each 2 years, each 2-3 years, like.
Yeah, you're looking at a serious rewrite every 5 years, and you probably, you probably wouldn't have any code left after 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
That was cool. I mean, if you'd written it in Visual Basic, I mean, you would probably Visual Basic.NET, and then you probably had to port it to C#, and then WinForms, WPF, whatever the current.
That's all about the risk management, yes, for the decision makers when they're thinking about like life cycle of their software in 5-10 years. What will be?
Yeah, I mean, people think going Java or C# is the safe option, is because so many people using it, but not necessarily the case in terms of if your code is going to last decades. That, I mean, I don't know what's going to be Delphi's going to be like in 10 years' time. Maybe it'll be gone. Maybe we'll be programming in Lisp. I don't know. But or Rust or one of the new languages that's popular. But Delphi's got a huge track record, right? So it's been you can take programs that are 20 years old and recompile them without very much effort, sometimes no effort, in the latest version. So
new hardware, new operation system, but it still works.
I mean, these Delphi 1, that's you would have been doing that Windows for work groups or something like that, right? It's Windows 3.1. And then you can take that application and run it on Windows 11, or recompile it and run on Windows 11. It won't actually run on Windows 11. I don't 16-bit support applications are supported at all anymore. And I think I dropped to Windows 10. So, but yes, you could recompile it and then it'd probably run. So in terms of as you say, risk management, Delphi's. I think the biggest complaint I've seen is finding Delphi developers. And there's this dichotomy of there's Delphi developers saying there's no jobs, and Delphi, people with Delphi projects saying there's no developers. Doesn't quite
strange. That sounds strange. That yes, we have a Delphi project, but we don't have Delphi developers. But they're talking about that we cannot find the work that we want go Delphi. That's strange. We have to connect them somehow to each other.
So I think in this day and age, it's definitely possible to outsource projects to other countries or parts of projects. That you if you can write a detailed specification for something, then because the collaboration tools are there.
Yes, it works. Let's say
using,
that's our
I mean,
business. Yes,
yeah. So people work all over the world now. So you don't necessarily have to have someone in your local country to work on the project. I had this interesting. So I was working on a project where most of the team was in another city. It was about 2 hours drive from where I live, but I was actually working in their Wellington office. So I was a remote worker, but I was still commuting to work. And they had this weird thing where they ended up having a physical Kanban board, which I didn't have access to. So it's quite weird. But anyway, so that was an instance of where remote work did not work very well. But I think, in this day and age, I think, the COVID pandemic has demonstrated that, people can work from home and
they can do almost everything from home. Yes.
Yeah. And I think, IT is just the, I think, shops and, sort of all the retail stuff, ground to a halt, but a lot of the IT stuff just carried on as per normal.
But because a lot of risk for the commercial real estate, because that's not such a request right now nowadays.
Yeah, so interesting is what's going to happen, and because leases last years and years. Generally speaking, you might have a 3-year lease or a 9-year lease or something like that on a commercial property. It'd be interesting to see what happens with a lot of companies that are sort of IT type companies, even companies that aren't IT, that everything can be done via IT. To the office workers, whether that's just going to, these offices, like offices, are just going to disappear, and people are going to have, they might, come into the office, 1 day a week or something like that, and then work from home the rest of the time. And so, a lot of these commercial premises are going to be, they're just not going to need the real estate anymore. So,
okay, it's a little bit different. Let's say subjects for the future conversation. Yes. Do you have a launch date for your book? Like you have a deadline for yourself?
I don't have a deadline, no. And this is probably if I had a publisher, I'd have a deadline, and that would kind of make me work towards it. But I mean, the text is mostly written. I just got a few sections I want to finish off. I mean, I keep thinking of more things I want to mention. Like, I added a few paragraphs on peer review and pair programming and things like that recently. And yes, there's, I mean, it's a much bigger topic than the Code Faster, and more opinionated as well. So it's I've found it a lot harder to write on it, but so it's probably going to be missing all sorts of topics, but there's gonna be a lot in there, and a lot of Code Faster.
But okay, are we talking about the spring, or it will be in summer? When it will be ready? What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it'll be finished in the new year. Sometime next year, it'll definitely be finished.
Yeah, but it's 12 months.
12 months. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I could get it done in a few months, in a couple of months, or it might take 6 months. But I think it'll be out sort of within 6 months.
Because I want to suggest you to get a couple of free copies of your book. Maybe we create some contest, but it's like investment. Let's say, like, what do you think? Maybe the best questions about the Delphi Red Studio, some development.
I'll leave that up to you. So so I'll let you work that out. But yeah, some
in this case,
if you
we will publish
publishing this video.
Publish the contest rules in the description to the video. We will try to create something interesting, and it's because it's like long-term contest, because we don't know when the book will be ready. But anyway, You
Yeah,
you
certainly,
have to,
I've
you
sent
should
through.
let us know when it will be ready, because we also will announce it in all our marketing channels for free, of course. I think, because we are here also for creating this Delphi let's say, environment and ecosystem, because we love when we have like such a new events, like a new book. Of course, it will be like an event in 2022. In this case, yes, I want to tell you best wishes, because it's you need a lot of strength, because it's interesting, like this in this book, from 0 to 1. It's a lot of people just thinking, just starting, but they cannot finish that. But you already have like proved experience with the first book, and I believe that you will amazing the second one. And we are waiting for this book, of course.
And finishing the book, actually, like finish writing the text, and then you get people editing it and going through and proofreading and all that kind of stuff. And so there's that takes quite a while for people to get through it. And you kind of you don't want them all going at once. You want, so I have the book is in a Google document, and so people can
add comments,
go through and make comments and stuff, and then I can make changes as they go. And so it's kind of an iterative, interactive process, updating the book. But I don't want everyone going through all at once. I want sort of people to go through sort of semi-serially, so that people aren't making the same, reading, finding the same mistakes, so to speak, so that so everyone contributes some sort of new ideas and stuff, rather than the same idea that I haven't gotten around to fixing. So that process. And then you've got cover design and just getting all the formatting sorted, so that you don't have a bit of text and a page break and a big image on the next page. So you try and get everything looking appropriate and stuff like that. That'll takes time as well, and getting all the footnotes sorted and references and stuff. So just getting the text finished is not actually finishing the book. So I'm probably about 95% complete writing the text. But it'll get editing it will take.
But this 5%, like on the curious one, I guess, yes, like 5%.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to say like
the last
good luck
20%,
with this. Good luck,
80% of the time.
With this 5%. It's very important, I guess, because it's mentally, I think it's important, because I know like each author can get some concerns about his like book or anything else. This is why I want to tell you like good luck with this
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and of course, Alister, we have I guess timing, because people I'm not sure how long they will be ready to watch us together. That's why thank you for coming, and thank you for your time, because we are on 2 different points on the globe. It's like my morning, but it's your already night.
Yep, so it'll be 11 a.m. for you, and I'm sort of 9 a.m. Sorry,
I hope
9 p.m.
I'll see you on the next event somewhere, maybe on some conferences. Maybe we will build something together, some other educational events or something like this.
Yep.
Thank you for
I'm
coming.
certainly happy to come back and talk about on different topics, or something more specific. That we're not going down really weird tangents, random paths.
Great. If you want to add something, you can say and send some I don't know info to the Delphi community, because we will share this of course video everywhere.
Indeed. Well, just if you want to find more about my videos and stuff, you go to learndelphi.tv, and there's I have my book is obviously available to purchase there. Likewise with my commercial videos, if you want to learn the VCL and ridiculous detail, then it's quite good. They're a little bit out of date now in terms of they've written I think the VCL ones were recorded for Delphi XE3, so I need to record a new a part 4 to that for some of the new components.
Migrate. You have to migrate your videos.
Yeah. I probably won't. I'll probably just do another video, another series, because re-recording them, and they're still perfectly valid. There's nothing. There's no content in them that's been superseded. It's still every example will still work in Delphi 11. There's probably about 20 new components and themes as well. Visual styles, which I don't cover. And at some point, I'll have to do a series on FireMonkey as well. But yeah, FireMonkey's it's a bit daunting. It's a big topic.
Yeah, totally different universe, another framework. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time as well.
And, nice to meet you. Anyway, yes, that's the first like such a person-to-person meeting and event. Thank you for coming. See you on our next educational or informational events. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
See you later.
Bye. Bye.